would like to share a bit about myself. I'm staying at Sterling Crescent, number 7. And in Sterling Crescent, there are about plus or minus 40 houses. I'm sure you are wondering, why am I sharing this information? Well, all will be revealed in no time. My name is Tabama Kobe. I'm your tutor and the founder of Technology for All Academy. Our focus for today will be in IPv4. What is IPv4? IPv4 is a 32-bit address divided in 4 octets. Each octet is between 0 and 255 in decimal number. An octet is made up of 8 bits. A bit is either a 0 or a 1. It's base 2, it's a binary number. If all bits are on or are 1, they add up to 255. This is our binary chart. It helps us to convert binary to decimal and decimal to binary. More on this when we do subnetting. For now, just know that 8 bits, if they are all on or all of them are ones, they add up to 255. And you can add these numbers to make sure that what I'm saying is true. We also have an example of our IPv4, which is 192.168.1.10. And our IP address is always paired with a subnet mask. You remember I talked about my address earlier today. Well, the same applies to the network. As I told you, I'm staying at Sterling Crescent, and my house number is number 7. And in Sterling Crescent, there are other houses. There's number 2, there's number 3, there's number 4, number 10, Sterling Crescent. The same applies to network. Subnet mask help to divide our IP address into network and host. Where you see the 255s, 255, 255, 255. This is the network portion, meaning 192.168.1 is our network portion. This here is our network portion. Where you see 255s, or in binary, where you see 1, it represents the network. And when you see a 0, it represents a host. Our 0 represents the host. And we have host 10 in network 192.168.1.0. This subnet mask accommodates 254 hosts. You can have up to 254 hosts with this subnet mask. We also have default gateway. Default gateway is normally used when we want to connect or when we want to access other networks. Meaning when we want to go out of our network. Maybe I'm accessing Google, or I'm accessing YouTube, or I'm accessing anything that is out of my network. Then I'm going to need a default gateway so that it can connect me to other networks. Okay, I just want to show you how to access your IP address on Windows. You click on this computer button on your right hand corner, open Network and Sharing Center. change adapter settings. This is my network interface card. Click on details. It will show you your IP address. This is my IP address 10.10.100.248, and my subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. My IP default gateway is 10.10.100.1. Another way to access it again, you can type CMD. It will take you to command prompt, and then type ipconfig /or. Okay, and then here, let me scroll. Here's my local area connection to, that's my network card. And here it is again IPv4 10.10.100.248, subnet mask 255.255.255.0, default gateway 10.10.100.1. Now let's talk about IP address classes or classful addresses. We have class A, B, and C. Class A, the first octet is 1 to 126, meaning if you see an IP address that starts with a number that's between 1 and 126, know that it is a class A. And in the olden days, or before CCNA or classless interdomain routing was introduced, the subnet mask for class A was 255.0.0.0/8, meaning we have 255 is our network and zeros are our host. And class A have 16,777,214 hosts. And followed by class B. Class B, the first octet is from 128 to 191. So if you get an IP address that starts with the first octet being 128 or anything between 128 and 191, know that it is a class B. And the subnet mask for class B is 255.255.0.0 or /16, and it accommodates 65,534 hosts. Lastly, we have class C. Class C, the first octet is 192.223. If you see an address starting with and the first octet being 192 or anything between 192 and 223, then we know that it is a class C. And the subnet mask for class C is 255.255.255.0 or /24. And it accommodates 254 hosts. In our networks, the first address and the last address are not used. The first address is our network address, and the last address is the broadcast address. They are not used. And when we communicate in our local area network, we don't need a default gateway for that communication because we are in the same network. Similar to when I was talking about my street, we are in the same street. We are in the same street, Sterling Crescent. I can walk from my home to your home so that we can chat about whatever we want to chat about. But to to get from my street and to go to another location or somewhere, maybe I might need a transport for that, because it's too far than when I'm around my street. So the same thing applies in the network. When you are inside your local area network, you don't need a default gateway. But once you decide to get out of your local area network, you're gonna need a default gateway to take you to the network that you want to access. Okay, now we are done about classful addresses. We also have what we call private IP addresses. Our private IP addresses are the addresses that we use to communicate on our local area network. We have class A, B, and C also. Class A, we have 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255, and the subnet mask is 255.0.0.0 or /8. And then we also have class B. Our class B is 172.16.0.0 to 172.31.255.255, and it uses the subnet mask of /12. And lastly, we have class C, which is 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255.255, and it uses a subnet mask of /16 or 255.255.0.0. And for /12, I just want to make it for you. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's our first octet. 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we have zeros. That's our second octet. So in our second octet, we have 1 to 8. We have 30. We have 64. We have 64. We have 32. And we have 16. So 128 plus 64 gives us 192. 192 plus 32 gives us 224, plus 16 gives us 240. So our subnet mask is 255.240.0.0. That's /12. Here, this is what we call classless interdomain subnetting or classless interdomain routing. CCNA. It was introduced when they saw that more IP addresses are needed, and like our classful addresses, for example, class A, if you were using For example, we are using 10.0.0.0 in your network, meaning you were taking all the scope of 16,777,214 hosts, which was somehow misuse of IP addresses. So that's why they decided to introduce classless interdomain routing. Because when you are taking that scope, even if maybe you were doing VLANs on your network, you couldn't use the .10 anymore because it's already taken by another network. But since we have classless interdomain routing, you can use .10. For example, let's say you have VLAN 1, VLAN 2, VLAN 10. For example, you have 3 VLANs. You can chop that .10 the way you want. You might have maybe, for example, 10.10.100.0 network, the other one 10.10.200.0 network, the other one 10.10.50.0 network, with the subnet masks that are different to one another, or maybe you are using 255.255.255.0 for all those 3 addresses. So our private IP addresses are used for our local area network communication. When we want to access other networks or the internet, when you want to access the web, we have to use what we call net. So what is net? Net is a network, stands for network address translation. The job of a net is to take our private address. Let's say I have 192.168.10.50. That's my private IP address, the address that I use on my line. And my service provider gave me the public address. So when I want to access the internet or the web, what's happening? My net, let's say my gateway is 192.168.10.1. My net will take this 192.168.10.1 and translate it to the public IP address that my service provider assigned for me. For example, let's say my service provider gave me 100.10.5.20, for example. So what will happen? As soon as I want to access the internet, the net will translate this IP address into 100.10.5.20 when it goes out of my network. And the network or the site that I want to access won't see my private IP address, but it will be seeing my public network address. Now I want to show you the relationship between private and public address. How do they work hand in glove? Okay, let me go to my command prompt. Then I want to do a trace route. Trace RT YouTube youtube.com. This command, when I press enter, it will show me the route that my communication is taking to get to YouTube. Okay, enter. Let's see. 10.10.100.1, that's my default IP gateway, and then it goes to 32.0.18, still private IP address. 10.32.250.177, still private IP address, private, and then public. Meaning, what's happening here, meaning my service provider, they are doing net on their network translation address. It's happening on their network from my router, my default gateway on my router. It goes to maybe because it's a wireless service provider, is going to their access point that's connecting to my access point. So up until to the access point that's connected to their network, they are using private IP addresses. They didn't assign us public IP addresses. And then when it gets to their location, that's when they do net. Meaning all of these addresses, my address group 10.10.100.0 network, 10.32.0 network, 10.32.250, okay, 177, 10.32.250, 157, 10.32.250.137, 32.241.245. All these are private IP addresses, and then all of them, they go out using this IP address. My computer from outside, they see this 102.66.104.9. And it takes all those routes up until it reach Yahoo, not Yahoo, YouTube server, which is 172.253.65.253, or actually this JNB whatever 216.58.223.142. that's the IP address for YouTube. So we can see how public and private network work hand in glove. That's the work of net. I hope this was informative, and please don't forget to subscribe and to press the notification bell so that you can know when we upload more videos. And please leave us comments, whether beautiful or criticism. Comment is comment, and we learn from our mistakes. Enjoy your day and have a blessed one. Thank you.